Hello, ladies and germs. Oh shoot, what? A girl is gonna make a video called How to Make Decent Star Wars Content? You better believe it, baby girl. But wait, okay? Don't close the video. Hang on. I am not a feminist. All the information I've learned on this matter comes from men. Woo! Step 1. Return to source material. The biggest issue that all modern media has when it comes to making sequels or prequels or spin-offs is the fact that they never return to original concepts for new ideas. The creators never go back to scrapped character designs or concepts and unused ideas for inspiration. They usually just say, well, what's currently trending and how can we insert it into this franchise so that we can be cool? That's why no one likes it. Watch those videos of the lines outside the theaters to see Empire when it first came out. We will never see anything like that again. Literally everyone was going to see it, not just nerdy teenage guys. Now only fandom dorks will go see the latest Star Wars movie because it's not a work of art. It's just more goy slop from your favorite franchise. I say, well, I guess not me. Sane people say that we all need to go back to Irvin Kershner's notes and unused concepts and interviews and the like, and they need to study the frick out of that before even approaching the idea of making more Star Wars content. I'm pretty sure that Empire was probably the most successful Star Wars movie. I found some image from someone who did all the math, taking inflation and other factors into account. I saw another post saying that one of the dumb sequel movies actually was the most successful, but I don't think that was taken into account the fact that the population has increased by like more than 50% since Empire came out, so that would inevitably change the outcome. There's a lot of math you need to do to calculate which movie performed the best, but everyone just knows it's Empire, we all know. Hey, Mr. Irvin Kershner, how many letters are in Boba Fett's name? 8! And that's exactly what he did with Empire. Get over it! Listen, I'm telling you, I know this probably seems really pointless and like an obvious step in making new Star Wars stuff, but I don't really think people care to do this because they're all narcissists and it's beneath them to reference someone else's work before they start working on their own story, which is important. You lose the spirit and tone of the original when you neglect it. Star Wars has not felt like Star Wars in a long time. Yes, I'm looking at YouTube prequels, not just Disney Wars. The writers of modern Disney write as if they're posting their work to AO3. They write stories like Star Wars fans rather than Star Wars creators, if that makes sense. They use bare bones lore like, green lightsaber good and red lightsaber bad. This is my self-insert. She's a force sensitive and she's so cool. Here's her journey on Tatooine again. I don't know why. They do not draw inspiration from old concepts. If they wrote like the creators, then they'd have the decency to reference old works before doing anything. Sorry about the audio change. I'm gonna use a real microphone now. That brings me to step 2. Pay attention to the time period Star Wars came from. Star Wars is very of its time, and what I mean by that is despite the fact that it takes place in some kind of space setting, and it's really fantastical and all that, it's very much a product of the era of the late 70s and early 80s. The way people dressed and acted is very of its time. It also had a very dirty and gritty vibe. The 70s was super gross. It's actually kind of disgusting. If you look at pictures from people in that era, a lot of them just look like they didn't bathe. I think people should be drawing inspiration from that era when they're making new Star Wars content. For example, that added scene in Return of the Jedi with that weird alien lady in Jabba's palace where she's singing. It is so jarring and out of place because it sounds nothing like the time period when the original movie was made. Also, the CGI is just terrible. Please use puppets and makeup and good costuming. The CGI aliens look awful. If you want to have a club type of scene with singing and music, you need to draw inspiration from music of the late 70s and early 80s. Think more like groovy disco stuff. I mean, just look at the setting and tell me that type of music wouldn't make more sense in a space club. okay? I don't even know what genre of music the scene was using, but whatever it was wrong. Now, unlike the OT, the prequels are very clean and polished looking. Everything is too sleek and perfect. Nothing looks lived in. I think the fact that people are obsessed with shooting on digital rather than film definitely plays a big part in that. If they want to make a new movie, it needs to be shot on film or it's just not going to be right. I'm sorry, but they won't shoot on film. And do you know why? Because they're lazy. Film, you're dealing with physical media. It's not just on your little computer. Also, you need to worry about how good the lighting is instead of just sitting in your nice little air-conditioned blue screen room. Have you ever taken a Polaroid picture? That camera uses film, and there have been so many times where I think the lighting in my apartment is bright enough, and then the picture comes out looking like all the lights are turned off. It's very annoying. Film is an art. Compare that to the likes of shooting a movie on a giant glorified iPhone camera. One is much easier than the other, but you're sacrificing a specific texture that's missing from your work, and it takes away from everything. Step 3. Stop inserting modernisms into Star Wars, and remember who the original intended audience was. You can do so many things with Star Wars, and I know people really want to have diversity in the movies because people can't consume media unless they see someone who looks like them on the screen. I don't know why. You can have diversity in Star Wars. I just want you to know that, okay? There's a lot of galaxies and there's a lot of different planets. There's room for a lot of different types of people, okay? But that shouldn't be the main intention. Everyone's mad about The Acolyte getting cancelled, mainly because the main lead is not a white person and they think that's why it was cancelled or something, I don't know. But it's probably for 2 reasons. 1, it wasn't good, and 2, it didn't have the essence of Star Wars. I mean, look at Lando, for example. He is such a cool character, and he is, you guessed it, not white. Wow! But he looks like he belongs there because he wasn't done dirty by the people who were in charge of costuming, hair, and makeup. Look at the way he looks. Look at his outfit. Look at his vibe. Like, the actor just has, like, the vibe that fits in with Star Wars, and that's probably because they had a good casting director for Empire, and I don't know what they have right now, but again, draw inspiration from the time period when the OT came out. Look at how people did their hair and try to change it up a little maybe to give it a more space fantasy vibe while still holding on to its essence. Look at old concept art for outfits like I said before. You literally have a cheat sheet and you're choosing to fail the test. Lando fits in perfectly. He didn't have to be white. He was just a good actor, and the casting director wasn't an idiot. Casting directors need to open their eyes and learn how to get a feel for which people look like they fit into the movie's genre, if that makes sense. This works. This does not. Also, the main intended audience for Star Wars was probably young men and not 20-something-year-old women. You're more likely to lose viewers by casting a lead female than a lead male. Women will still go see a male-led movie if there's some romance involved or if the male lead is attractive. I'm sorry if that's offensive, but it's true. Do not argue with me. But men usually lose interest in something that's female-centric. Can I blame them? No. That's how they are. Don't tell them what type of media they have to consume, the same way you wouldn't tell a woman who's on her period to just calm down. We are wired a certain way. You need to grow up. Now, there would be an exception, of course, if the show was actually good, but, you know. Step 4, tone. Watch some clips here. One of them is from the OT, one is from the prequels, and one is from the sequels, and you tell me if the tone stays consistent.
We would be honored if you would join us.
I had no choice. They arrived right before you did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, too.
I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. And not just the men. but the women. And the children, too. They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals.
What are you doing here?
Hey. Hi. I was just...
You know, just this morning, I've had to stun 3 people trying to jump ship in this escape pod.
That's disgraceful. Anyway, gotta get back to what I was doing, so... No, it's a routine check.
By boarding one. With a packed bag.
Listen.
This kind of falls into the whole stop inserting modernisms into Star Wars category, but it's kind of different. Acting in the 70s and 80s was very different from modern acting, and that's part of why it's very jarring to try and watch all the Star Wars movies quote-unquote in order. They're not tonally consistent. The dialogue and acting are all very different, and they shouldn't be. That's why Star Wars is so weird. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I think you're either in denial or you have some sort of movie blindness or whatever you'd like to call it. Open your eyes. The tone needs to be consistent or it's gonna feel wrong. I did not have the opportunity to watch all of the different trilogies as they were coming out because I was born in 2002. 2002. And so I kind of just got to see everything with a fresh set of eyes, as I have said in my previous video about Star Wars and stuff. I'm not biased towards anything. This is just me viewing everything as like an unbiased audience member. And again, I will reiterate, this doesn't all come from me. This is just stuff that, you know, I've heard from other people or stuff that I've just sort of thought about. So this isn't some sort of thing where I'm trying to like power trip and be like, listen to me, I know what to do with Star Wars. I should be in the writer's room. Maybe I'd like to be there. I don't know. I mean, I don't want them to put it all on me. You know, don't turn around and say, well, then why don't you write a Star Wars movie and see what happens? Look, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it by myself. I'd want to have a bunch of people in the writer's room with me. I don't want all that pressure on me. But, you know, I'd go back to the notes from Star Wars 1. I'm not calling it A New Hope because that would mean that I'm validating the prequels because it was originally just called Star Wars. I'd go back to the notes from Star Wars. I'd go back to the notes from Empire. Not so much Return of the Jedi. And I would try to take inspiration from that stuff. I mean, they have access to it, don't they? You know, don't fire back at me and say like, well, I'd like to see you make a Star Wars movie that's any better than The Acolyte. Babe, I'm not the multi-million-dollar company here, alright? Don't get mad at me. Get mad at them. If they made a good show, it wouldn't be canceled. So who are you mad at? Don't be mad at me. I'm trying to help you. I don't understand. Anyway, I made this for fun. I was a little bit bored. I've been making a lot of videos lately, but I gotta be careful because if I keep this up, I might get doxxed. You know how those Star Wars fans can be.